Oh yeah, I guess I should look up any information about this movie.
Nah.
At least
Just wing it.
I'll just make up a tagline.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
In the dark.
No, yeah, there you go.
In the dark, you're sometimes alone.
But not a single person was alone in the dark in this film.
That's true.
Lies.
Oh my god, why are these taglines so long? Oh wait, one.
In a world where the darkness reigns.
This is terrible. All right. Can mankind defeat the army of darkness unleashed by an ancient evil cult? Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
The fuck? I don't know. You tell me. You're the movie.
Don't be asking me questions, goddammit.
Yeah.
Also, the way the movie ends, that question is not really answered, if you ask me.
I honestly don't know literally anything about this movie anymore, or even like when I finished watching it.
I watched it on Monday. I forgot.
I also didn't pick up that the ancient civilization was an evil cult.
Nope.
From this
I didn't
movie.
know it was a civilization. I thought it was just some monster bros hanging out.
Well, I don't know. I feel like this movie is confusing to me, even though it came out in 2005, and I definitely saw it in the theater.
We should never say what this movie is.
Yeah, context. You got to just pick it up from the context clues.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is episode 133, and we're talking about trash movie I regret picking called Alone in the Dark by Uwe Boll.
This wasn't the worst.
You're off the podcast.
Like, it's definitely not the worst
fight you.
movie that we're gonna watch by him. I think
No.
this movie was just like
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's
kind
gonna
of
be
boring.
Blubberella.
Yeah, I definitely saw this in the theater, and I'm sure at the time I was probably really angry about having seen it in the theater, but like now watching it, I'm like, yeah, whatever. It was just kind of boring, and we'll get into the action sequences were just indescribable, honestly. But like the reason that I saw this is because so Alone in the Dark is a video game series that like I had actually played in the past, and the one that came out to like correspond with this movie came out in 2008 or whatever for like 360, and that's like when I was working like at the game store or whatever, so I played it, and it's not really like the same at all.
None of his video game adaptations are, and he frequently will talk about how he likes to make them bad to make gamers mad, so I respect that.
I mean, that's
this
fine.
Movie was just straight bad.
There's
Everything
literally
that... Oh, go ahead, Katie.
No, go ahead.
I'll say everything that I've ever done poorly was done intentionally so to irritate people.
Specifically
Definitely
gamers.
not just because I'm bad.
The thing is about the reason that to me that is just like doesn't matter is because there's literally nothing you can ever do to make a gamer happy, like ever. It's like if
Fair.
I don't know. There's just nothing. Somebody somewhere is gonna get mad at you about literally anything ever. So I don't know. This is just, I don't know who wrote this. Like, I didn't really look up
Ethan,
any...
Mastel, Michael, Roche.
3 people?
Yeah, somebody else.
Wow. I don't know. I didn't really read anything behind like how or why this movie got made, and I don't know like what they were basing this off of, because the character that Christian Slater plays, Edward Carnby, is like an actual character from the games, but like the games were sort of more plot. It was like a survival horror game, and it was like more like, I don't want to say biblically, like whatever, is like essentially like he's a paranormal investigator in the game, and there's like exorcisms and like Lucifer and shit involved, and in this it's just like monsters of no like consequence.
The the trivia for this movie is so stupid.
Is it the paintball thing?
Well, let's see. Number 1, based on a video game series.
Wow.
Nuclear Blast spent $30,000 on the soundtrack rights to promote their bands.
What?
So good for
Get
them.
out of here.
Uwe Boll stated on various occasions that he regretted having Tara Reid in the film.
The thing that is like sad about this movie is that like this is not even her worst performance, if you ask me.
The lengthy opening text crawl was added after numerous test audience members said they were confused by the movie plot. So sad for you because it still doesn't make any sense.
Literally no.
A love scene between Christian Slater and Tara Reid featuring the song 7 Seconds by Nina Cherry and someone else can be seen in the extended version. There is an extended version of this movie.
No, that's fine. I'm glad they cut that out.
Uwe Boll wanted Christian Bale and Jessica Alba for the leads.
I don't even know. I don't even
would
know
pay
about
so
that.
much money to watch Christian Bale do his fucking method acting bullshit in this movie.
What is Christian Slater but a poor man's Christian Bale?
Yeah, I agree. He could have been
You
Batman.
got someone with the same first name.
Christian
Listen,
Bale.
Close enough.
Christian Slater would have
Bale's-
killed Batman.
Christian, he would have. He's got the voice. He's got his regular voice is already a Batman voice. Christian Bale's eyes are too wide for me.
Is the
I like
most
his-
recognizable voice besides Gilbert Gottfried playing Batman. Like, they would have been like, oh, that's Christian Slater.
He already has like the brooding thing going on, and he wears trench coats. So, I'm for it. Reboot.
Speaking of the trench coat, Christian Slater has the most video game outfit I've ever seen in a movie in this
He
movie.
really does. It's for also like that wasn't even a real trench coat. It was like a cloak. It just had like open buttons on it. There was no like I don't know. I don't know what it actually was. And then he just had on like a black tank top and like jeans.
It has like latches on one side, but no like nothing to rope around them or rope through them.
Yeah, so like you couldn't actually fasten it. I don't know. I also
Not functional.
under spoilers, it says that they changed the ending of the original script to make it more ambiguous.
Probably just thinking maybe there'd be sequels and shit.
There was, right? There was a sequel?
Oh,
Yeah, there's a
God.
second one.
There probably is, but I don't think he directed it. Kind of like House of the
Together
Dead.
in the dark.
Even a loner in the dark.
Alone in the Dark 2, which stars or features Lance Hendrickson and Danny
Of
Trejo.
course.
What?
Yeah.
That checks out.
All right, I'm putting that in
no.
my back pocket for whenever we get to choose movies.
We do Lance Henderson again.
The directors are two of the writers who also direct and write the second one together. So,
Bill Moseley's in it.
I like how they replace the main character with somebody who looks very different. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
I forgot there was a Far Cry movie. Till Schweiger. I'm gonna watch that on my own.
The second one has a higher rating than the first one too, which is pretty sad. We should have done Prince of Persia, honestly, if we were doing a
Oh my god.
movie video game adaptation with my other favorite, Jake Gyllenhaal.
God, I haven't seen like any of these video game adaptations. I'm
I haven't
very
seen
much
a
dreading
lot
getting
of-
into Blood Rain next week.
I am
It's gonna be
already
great.
very sad about it.
It's got Sir Ben Kingsley. How could it go wrong?
I don't know. I saw
He's
Iron
never
Man
just
3.
taken a paycheck.
Should do Wing Commander.
Should have done Battleship or whatever.
Oh God, that movie looks so bad. Wing Commander has Matthew Lillard, so we'll get all this like people fucking thirsting over Matthew Lillard to watch it or listen to it.
Why didn't anyone tell me that Blood Rain has Billy Zane and Meatloaf in it?
No, man.
I've never seen it, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I haven't either. So I picked the
And
three
Michelle
that looked like they were going to be
Rodriguez.
terrible.
Like, what movie was she not in the early 2000s that had to do with guns?
True.
All right, let's get into this trash movie. Maybe I'll remember some of it.
Do we have to?
Like one of the plot keywords is crap.
What? That actually doesn't have anything to do with the movie.
Number 2 on it. Scary Movie 3,
That's
number
appropriate.
1.
Oh, bad movie. Rocket launcher. Premarital sex. What?
Do people have sex in this movie?
No. That must have been in the cutout.
The extent.
scene.
Yeah, they said there was like the sex scene between the two.
What if that's all that was cut out? Was just like 30 minutes of banging?
I'm so glad because that is something I do not want to see.
What do you guys think number 1 for Delivery Boy is?
Cabin Boy.
It's Goodfellas.
Oh.
and then Futurama.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, Babe
Yeah.
Scientist.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Babe Scientist?
Yeah, how is Tenet number 1 for Babe Scientist?
Well, I haven't seen it, but that doesn't seem...
There must be a lot of old people on IMDb because number 2 is NCIS.
Have you clicked on German exploitation?
No.
It's literally entirely Uwe Boll movies.
Yeah, that checks out.
Ooh, Booby Trap is one of them. Did this movie... This has so many tags. Like, did we really need all this? One of them is blonde.
Someone
Well-
is a diehard fan.
They really
it's,
are.
It's usually like the older the movie is, the more tags that they start getting and stuff. So
What is
I'm gonna find a weird thing.
Psychotronic film. Number 1, the new Mortal Kombat. I don't know what that means.
Sure, why not?
Surprise ending. Okay, let's just get in. There's 231 tags for this movie. So this movie starts with a pretty long scroll text, which I know that you said they added it because the plot was confusing, but number 1, I hate scroll text, and number 2, this one was really long, and also like they could have easily put this information into the movie, since we are dealing with someone who is like a paranormal investigator and like an archaeologist. So anyways, the scroll basically talks about a civilization called the Abkhani, and they believed in a world of light and a world of darkness. And 10,000 years ago, they opened the door, like the gate between the two worlds, and something evil slipped out. And then all of the Abkhani disappeared. So then the government created something called Bureau 713, and in this movie they talk about it a lot because Christian Slater's character was part of it, and they just refer to it as 713, so that's what we'll say, which is a paranormal research agency established to figure out what's going on. So it was basically funded by this guy named Dr. Hudgens, who is
I don't remember any of this already.
Yeah, I remember there was a cool chase sequence.
The other
That's
thing
all
about
I
this
remember.
movie is that there's just so much in it that is so long and drawn out for no reason, and also it's boring. So basically the government quote unquote shut down the research agency. So Dr. Hudgens went and opened up a facility under a mine shaft to experiment on orphans and merge them with the creatures. And the The orphans survived as quote unquote sleepers or lost souls.
I had no idea this happened.
This was all in the scroll text.
I just knew Christian Slater shot that dude like 20 times and he didn't stop running.
Yeah, and then got like a spike through his stomach or something and
Yeah,
died.
and that killed him? Get out of here.
Okay, there's that. Okay, so basically this movie opens up with a kid running through the woods and people are searching for him. Title card. We find out that this is 22 years ago. And basically, Dr. Hudgens is convincing a nun to pretend that all of her children have disappeared. There's 20 of them. And one of the kids is missing. And we see that this kid is hiding in a voltage shed where there is a creature reflected in his eyeball. And he wakes up and it's Christian Slater, who is Edward Carnby, but I will continue to call him Christian Slater.
I'm going to call him Carnes.
I'm going to call him Christian Bale.
Old Carnes.
Old Richard Karn from MVP 2.
Yep, old Dick Karn.
Dickie? Okay.
Dick Karn, come on the podcast.
Please, yeah. Christian Slater's on a plane, and
Get this motherfucking Christian Slater off this motherfucking plane.
Christian Slater falls off the plane into Compton, and is Christian Slater.
God, I will watch the shit out of that movie too.
So basically, he has this back and forth with a kid who tells him that cheese gives you nightmares, and his mom told him there's nothing to be afraid of in the dark, and Christian Slater is like, LOL, she's stupid, essentially, and traumatizes the kid. Meanwhile, Hudgens is telling someone on the phone to get to the artifact from Christian Slater and then kill him. So now this movie does a second thing where Christian Slater is narrating to us. So we have two things that I hate in movies. A scroll in the beginning and then narration. It's just very unnecessary because he doesn't really say anything to us that matters. But he basically is like, hey, you might think I'm an asshole for scaring that kid, but I'm not. There's stuff in this. I don't know why he sounds like Dale Gribble's, like, threatening voice, but he's basically just like, there's stuff in this world we've been trained not to see, and we should be afraid of the dark. And also, he lost his memory when he was 10 years old. Now, he gets into a cab, and it is our continuously returning podcast favorite, Brendan Fletcher, is the driver from, Crack in the Floor or whatever that movie was.
Yeah, that movie was great.
And basically, Christian Slater's talking to the cab about, like, I don't know, they just do some chit chat, and then he's like, I don't mean to. Huh? What?
He's just Slayton.
Yeah. He talks. I started thinking about Gleaming the Cube. I'm sorry, I got distracted. He basically is like, I don't want to alarm you, but we're being followed. And then Brendan Fletcher's like, hell yeah! And then there's a car chase. Then eventually Christian Slater gets out of the car and starts fighting this guy, and they're just punching and rolling around, and then he runs into a shop, and the guy just leaps through a window to tackle Christian Slater, and they kind of wrestle over the artifact. Christian Slater runs away and steals a gun from a cop, and then starts shooting the guy who is flying through the air, kind of weird. He's long leaping, if you will. And then we see our first of many awesome CG shots where we see the inside the barrel of a gun as the bullets slow-mo shoot through them, and then shoot through a block of ice. And he shoots the guy a bunch, and the guy's fine. The fight goes on for a while. Eventually,
this guy
Christian
takes
Slater,
bullets like a fucking raptor.
He really does.
Yeah. Didn't even flinch.
There's one point where Christian Slater pulls himself up on some chains and tries to choke the guy out, and I'm like, there's no way you could do that, bro. Eventually the guy falls. I guess I looked away, so I didn't see how he died, but you guys said a spike went through him and he's dead finally.
He got poked.
He got the old poke. So now we're introduced to Tara Reid, who is named Aileen.
Yeah, checks out.
Pretty close to Alien, if you ask me. But I'm just gonna call her Tara Reid, of course. So she is an artifact curator. And basically she is like talking to some guards about the shipment that came in, and she works for Dr. Hudgens, the one that experimented on orphans. And one of the guards is basically just like, sorry about your missing boyfriend, and she's like, and like storms off. Christian Slater comes to his house, and I don't know if you guys know what World Market is, but it looks like a World Market catalog where there's like a Japanese folding like screen, and the bed has like Moroccan sheets on it, and it's just like a jumble of like what I assume are artifacts, and he's just like being sloppy because he's a guy. And he
is a very important person at whatever bureau researching stuff. He doesn't have time to clean.
Well, so that's why this is confusing. We don't actually know what he does because he doesn't work for the bureau anymore. So like they say he's a quote unquote paranormal investigator, but like for himself, I guess. Like it makes sense sort of because his girlfriend is Tara Reid. We find that out, spoiler, duh. She works for that guy getting artifacts also. So like that is the backstory that is confusing because it's never really explained to. I mean, I guess because maybe he does say he's like investigating it because he's trying to figure out what happened to him when he was little. So he's just like working for himself, I guess, whatever. I don't know. But he basically starts studying the artifact that he found. It kind of looks like a little periscope with like markings in it.
Not a cool artifact.
No,
there are way
just like
cooler artifacts out there.
It's like a Cracker Jack prize kind of artifact.
That's
or like
where he found
send away box tops kind of thing. So meanwhile, Dr. Hudgens is like on a boat. He's got his flippy floppies. He has a crew that has pulled a chest out of the ocean, and like essentially they mutiny him, and like they're like, we're gonna keep this treasure, and like throw him in a room. And he's like, no, don't open it. And they open it, and it's definitely a creature because we hear growling. Meanwhile, when the creature is unleashed, Christian Slater gets a headache. And then we see like a few of the, which, we can kind of piece together that they're the grown-up orphans, like go into a trance and immediately drop whatever they're doing and leave their houses. So eventually Hudgens gets free. Everyone's dead. And then we hard cut to Commander Richard Burke, which is Steven Dorff. And you might know him from smash hit Fear.com.
There's a lot of people in this movie that can barely act.
There was like one scene like towards the end where it's like Christian Slater, Tara Reid, and Steven Dorff all together, and I was just like, what a crew. What a crew.
Yeah, it makes for a very long, like hour and 40 minutes or whatever the fuck this was.
Yeah. So Commander Burke is just being briefed about Paranormal Activity, the movie. And he's at 713, so he still works there. He's like the head guy, I guess. So Tara Reid essentially gets yelled at by Dr. Hudgens because whatever artifact came there while he was gone, she opened it and started like categorizing it or whatever they do. And he's like, God, you stupid bitch, and like hangs up on her. I don't know. Christian Slater has memories, and then he is woken up by his phone ringing, and it is right.
I was enjoying a good memory. My phone went off.
It happens. It is somebody named Linda who tells her that John is gone. John was one of the orphans who I think we're sort of led to believe that like John and Christian Slater are still friends or something. And basically randomly, Christian Slater gives us some narration about how when the was it Abkhani, whatever the civilization was that opened the gate and got obliterated, when they opened the gate, some of the people joined forces with the creatures and gained powers, which explains randomly, because this is like half an hour later, explains why that guy that he fought earlier was so hard to kill. And so that guy's name was Pinkerton or something. And you're like, okay, sure. Because at the time, I guess he did seem kind of nonplussed about it. Like, he wasn't surprised that that guy was like demon leaping through the air and shit. He was just kind of like, all right. So then basically there's a lot of stuff that happens that's stupid, and basically like
And
the
then
outcome,
the end of the movie.
right, the outcome is that like the rest of the orphans are all missing also. And so like he finally goes to Tara Reid. This is when we find out he's the boyfriend. She's like, oh man, you dick, you didn't call me, and like slaps him or whatever. And he gives her the artifact that he found, and she like analyzes it and is like, yeah, this is legit. And then the lights start flashing on and off and stuff, and they're like, wow, this is weird. The lights are literally just like blinking on and off forever, while a security guard separate from Tara Reid and Christian Slater wander around the museum. This scene is so long. What ends up happening is that the guard gets got by the creature that sort of looks like, I don't know, it kind of looks like a xenomorph, and actually we find out that they're called xenos. But it's like on all four legs.
Pretty lazy.
Yeah, it has like a tail that's like almost the same as the xenomorph tail, except it opens at the end, and there's like a spike in it. Yeah, and then it has like a kind of like, it's kind of like a pug version because its like nose is sort of smashed. You know what I mean? So
it has breathing problems.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. So it kills the guy. They say that the creature is invisible, but we can always see the creature, so that was sort of weird. But basically, like, the creature chases Tara Reid and Christian Slater, and they hide in a storage closet or whatever, and the thing, like, busts a hole through the wall, which allows Christian Slater to shoot at it, and it runs away.
Real quick, did either of you say did either of you play this game?
No, I wanted to when it came out, but
I did, but like, this isn't really what the game's about. So.
I just wondered if like this creature was in the game, or if any of this other than just the very loose theme of it was part of the game or not.
Like from what I remember, I mean, this came out in like 2008, so I haven't played it since then. But I remember when it came out, it was kind of like one of the only games like this for the 360 at the time, and like some of the in the one that came out later, I don't remember them looking like this, but there's like so many different versions of the game, and in one of the versions, I feel like they probably did look like this. But the plot is like not really the same at all, because the 2008 one has to do with like I said, like it's more of like the main character is like recovering from an exorcism, and there's like Lucifer and the gates of hell and whatnot, so it's like more, it's not really like, I don't remember it being about government experiments.
Okay, I just want
yeah.
Mostly, I think I just wondered whether this fucking thing was in the...
I think it was in one of them, but not the iteration that was like... Well, I guess this movie came out before that, so that makes sense. The creature, I think, might have been in like the one that came out before this game, maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
So I wrote SWAT team. I guess it's the 713 like agents like or whatever bust into the museum and like shoot at the creature, and basically Burke and Christian Slater like have some beef and stuff, wherein Christian Slater steals his like security pass and goes to the bureau where his friend, I just wrote his friend, it is Sam Fisher, is doing an autopsy on Pinkerton, who was the guy that Christian Slater killed earlier. And essentially, like, that guy used to be an agent who went AWOL, and now there's some gross thing fused to his spine. And, like, the reason the spike killed him is because it went through his spine and, like, severed the little, like, centipede creature that's back there. And that's why he died. Then, like, Christian Slater gets a CAT scan or something, and they're essentially just like, hey, you have this creature thing inside you too, but he was electrocuted as a child, I guess, and so the creature's like, we never saw that. He just was kind of like, the electrocution must have killed it. Sure. And if they try to remove it, it might kill him. Or, I'm sorry, paralyze him. So, this is when like, I was calling him Doctor. I don't think he's a doctor, but Fisher is basically like, hey, these creatures have been around for 2 years and we call them Xenos with a Z. Very clever. And
best you could do in the circumstances of this movie, I guess.
I guess so. And he's like, yeah, and their weaknesses are osminium, iridium, platinum, and gold.
Yeah, we knew that.
Alrighty.
Those are my favorite Rice Krispie treat elves.
Yeah, me too. And we find out that the reason the lights are blinky is because the Xenos can disrupt electricity, which is very confusing to me because these creatures are like 10,000 years old, and like, why is that their power? They didn't know what electricity was, but sure. Also, sunlight is harmful, so Fisher gives him like a super flashlight and sunlight bullets, essentially. Meanwhile, like, Dr. Hudgens has one of the creatures in his lab, and he, I don't know, takes its blood and then injects it into himself, which doesn't seem like a good move.
Disagree.
So, Christian Slater is just like, they're gonna come after me, but then immediately goes to sleep.
Like, I mean, same.
Yeah.
I'm worried, but I'm not that worried. I'm more tired than I am worried.
I mean, he had to have a reason to take his shirt off, I guess. So, and he finally takes off his cool trench coat.
What if he just took his tank top off but left the trench coat on?
He puts the trench coat back on. So, meanwhile, Burke is talking to Fisher and is essentially mean to him. And then later, Fisher goes home and essentially Dr. Hudgens shows up, kills his wife, then chokes out Fisher and puts a creature down his mouth. That kind of looks like a little centipede-y sort of thing.
You.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Tara Reid and Christian Slater talk about how the artifact... So, like, essentially, there's, like, all of these little pieces of artifacts that all fit together to make something. We don't know yet. It kind of reminds me of, like, that baby toy where you have, like, the rings that you have to put on it, and they're, like, they start big and get small, and they're, like, different colors. You know what I mean? I don't know what that's called, but that's kind of what's going on here.
Yeah, you
Fisher
lost me.
Price sponsored. And also, they found a location on a map, which we don't know what that is at this point, and then the lights start flickering. Christian Slater's orphan friend John shows up, and he's looking real evil, so Christian Slater has to shoot him, and then more orphans show up. They're kind of zombie-like at this point. Also, a monster shows up, and Eventually he like shoots it with one of the light bullets and it like disintegrates. And then we get to uh probably probably the worst scene in this movie for me, which is like the major action sequence. Because like I don't know which song on this score this was, but it was like a metal song starts playing,
Yeah,
and
they all are.
I know, I don't know, and then like Christian Slater and Tara Reid are like shooting at guys, but it's like artificially dark, and also it's like zooming and cutting zooms and showing bullets like there's, I don't know, guys are like SWAT guys are like ragdolling through the air, and it's like cutting and zooming, and it's just like it wasn't my favorite thing. It was no House of the Dead, that's for sure. So basically there's more attacks happening. Burke is like trying to arrest Christian Slater because he's like, you're one of them. And then Christian Slater ends up saving Burke. For some reason, there's a guy doing martial arts against one of the zombies. And then Burke is like, hey, by the way, your friend Fisher and Hudgens are missing. So they go to an abandoned mine shaft that Dr. Hudgens and Pinkerton, the guy from earlier, were the ones who were like running the mine shaft, even though it's been abandoned for like 20 years or whatever. But there's huge paranormal readings. So they go in. This whole sequence of the movie, this is like the end, quote unquote, of the movie, but this is like an hour of it of just like, why isn't this generator starting? Maybe we should go in. I don't know. There's like SWAT guys walking around and talking, and it takes them forever to like explore this like mine shaft, and it's a lot. But they basically find like the Abkhani markings, and also a guy falls through a trapdoor. Meanwhile, there's this scene of Dr. Hudgens like standing at the forest line, and he like lets loose thousands of Xenos they're like Rah! And like running through the woods for 10 minutes, and then the monsters start like attacking all the ground patrol people. The group all get to the bottom of the tunnel as some kind of slab of stone like drops down. That was like a booby trap, I guess. I have no idea. And then there's writing on the wall that Tara Reid says, it says, if you made it down alive, you're already dead. So, I don't know. You know, it is what it is. And also, I think they also cannot communicate with the patrol that's on the ground because the creatures are like messing with the static or whatever. Then there's like a scene of there's a creature in the sand that's like in the sand, and it like bites one of the person who fell through the hole. I think, I don't know, somebody's hurt, and it like bites her, and then is like slithery snaking through, and they're just like shooting at it for forever. I don't know if they actually get it or not, but that officer dies. So then, they look around for forever again. Eventually they find the underground lab where Hudgens did experiments on the orphans, and Christian Slater sees a bed that has his name on it, and then is like, oh my god, it was 713 all along.
Dun dun dun.
What a dramatic reveal.
Yeah.
If only anyone cared.
If only anyone knew what that meant.
Like, essentially, there's just like a bunch of schematics and shit, and Burke like loses his mind because he's like, they were having us hunt what they created the whole time. And I was like, wow, shocker, a government agency doing something bad behind everyone's back. Oh my goodness. So then there's this door, and their Fisher-Price toy fits into it, and they're like going to open the door, but then Dr. Hudgens shows up with a gun and is like, no, and he's like mad at them and stuff. And then he's got like the final piece of the artifact to complete it so that they can actually open the door. But then they're like, no, don't open the door. So I was like, I thought you guys were trying to open it. I'm really confused about what's going on here. But then as Dr. Hudgens puts the thing in the slot to open the door, Burke just throws a dagger into his heart and he screams and shoots the gun off a bunch. And then he dies. Which was pretty funny. But now the door's open, and essentially they walk through, and it's just like a huge, vast cave, and there's just like creatures everywhere. And they're like, okay, that's not great. So Burke like puts a bomb down and it's just like, okay, let's go. So they leave and shut like the outer door to the gate that I guess is like man-made, so like it's not going to hold up or whatever. And they run through the tunnel. Burke tries to detonate the bomb, but it doesn't go off. And he's like, you go ahead, I gotta go. And Christian Slater's like, no, don't go. Like as he's climbing a ladder. And so Christian Slater and Tara Reid climb up a ladder to the surface and end up in front of the orphanage. And he's like, they were under us the whole time. And meanwhile, Burke has gone back into the cave to get the bomb. He, I don't know, sets it at a timer and then like throws it into the cave and it explodes. And like the explosion is bad enough that it like funnels back out to the surface, but then Burke is fine.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I just like looked away, but I didn't see that they showed us the damage enough for me to feel like they actually like closed off this cave. You know what I'm saying?
Don't remember, but I don't think so either.
Yeah, so I felt very
I feel
concerned.
like in my mind this explosion happened and then they were just like credits.
Like essentially because well, you're forgetting about the twist ending. So yeah, but then okay, they show Burke like rolling around in the dirt or whatever, but then they never show him again, so I just am assuming he's alive. I don't know. I also did not feel like that bomb was big enough to actually like close the cave completely, but I don't know. Essentially, Christian Slater and Tara Reid go in and find that Sister Claire is dead. Not really sure why we care about that. And then it shows like them walking up to the city, and this very much confuses me because the subtitles, somebody said something about like the city being evacuated, right? So there's like nobody in the city, the cars are just everywhere or whatever. Christian Slater starts a narration about how the gate is closed. I'm not really sure how they know that for sure, but fine. And then he starts talking about how the Abkhani were wiped off the face of the earth, and now maybe it's happening again. And then we hear Xeno roaring, and then the camera zooms up at them, and then there's a gunshot sound, and it's the end. And this makes no sense to me because, like, being wiped off the face of the planet and a city being evacuated are not the same thing. So that's why I'm confused about this twist ending.
Yeah, I don't understand any of it.
Well,
I didn't know the movie ended, to be honest.
The kid's still watching it.
And then it was like,
yeah, never stopped.
The end credit song was even more intense than the intense fight scene.
The fight scene one specifically reminded me of Death House, and that's when I was just like, I'm done with this movie altogether.
Yeah, so
I guess
I want to know what.
Oh, good.
What,
I was just
gonna say I want to know what the actual ending was. That this was what they changed it to, because it made no fucking sense.
I have some bad news for you, for possibly
for me.
This year, both of you.
Uh-oh.
There's a movie coming out starring Tara Reid and Nikki Sixx called El Chapo and the Curse of the Pirate Zombies.
Oh no.
That we're gonna have to watch.
Is Nikki Sixx playing El Chapo?
I don't know. There's like no info on Letterboxd other than the poster, which is El Chapo holding two big machetes, and then what looks like Pirates of the Caribbean pirates in the reflection of it. So
Did you say El Chapo and the Curse of the Pirate Zombies?
yes.
Okay, well, I
hate
googled
this.
it on IMDb, and underneath it, it says Tara Reid and Dustin Diamond.
Oh, I'm even more in.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's got somebody from Maniac Cop 2 in it.
No, Nikki Sixx plays Captain Deadbeard.
Yeah, so he's playing the pirate now. That's even better. This movie's gonna be perfect. A sexy soap opera actress, a Hollywood movie star wannabe journalist, and a Mexican drug lord fight zombie pirates.
Tara Reid is also in something called Dr. Quarantine.
Oh boy. She's in A Second Chance for Christmas. Have you seen that? Or Andy the Talking Hedgehog with Dean Cain?
Oh my goodness.
She is in a very
Royal Christmas Ball.
very terrible anaconda-looking ripoff called Vipers.
I have heard of that one, actually.
And A Party
I
Bus
think I've probably
to Hell.
seen that one.
Yeah, I figured. When a party
She's
bus on its
in,
way to Burning Man filled with a bunch of sexy young adults breaks down in the desert in the middle of a group of satanic worshippers.
She's also in Masterpiece, The Crow, Wicked Prayer.
Hard pass.
With Bones from Bones. No, wait. Is Bones the girl? No.
Emily
she's the other-
Deschanel.
No,
that's David Boreanaz. That's Angel.
Yeah. Angel's in it.
It looks like Tara Reid and Danny Trejo have done a lot of movies together.
Aww.
But it's also because Danny Trejo's in like every 3 movies.
I mean, yeah.
Alright, I don't know why I'm talking about Tara Reid. That zombie pirate movie was very exciting / worrying.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of movies with her in it, and she has never been my favorite, but I feel like her performance in this movie was like pretty just lukewarm compared to a lot of the things I've seen her in, so I'm still saying that this movie was like not the worst.
It was pretty bad, but I think Blubberella is gonna be way worse.
Yeah, it was really whatever. I don't remember a single second of it.
Steve
So
Costanza.
it wasn't so bad.
Steve Kostansky just commented on something I posted on Instagram and said, "Saw Alone in the Dark in the theater, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life." So,
Commenting on it right now and saying same, because woof. I imagine, like I've said many times, I have a much higher tolerance for bad movies now than I did at the time, and I'm telling you, I was probably so pissed that I paid to see this.
well, like House of the Dead, I think, if I remember correctly, Kit and I both were like, "This is dumb, but it's fun at least."
I saw that one in the theater too, but I
did
agree.
too, I think, but like my goal before I watched this was to try to watch all of his movies this month, just because fuck it, or at least everything that's streaming. And
Right.
I watched, I already saw House of the Dead, and I was like, this is pretty fun. I like this movie. And then I watched Assault on Wall Street, which was like not terrible. It was like pretty watchable. And then I watched this, and I was like, fuck.
It's only going downhill.
It also doesn't help that this movie was like almost 2 hours long.
Yeah, really not necessary.
Movies like this should be an hour 10 tops. Take
Yep.
the full moon approach and just less is more.
I agree. I don't know if like at some point maybe because a lot of these older movies are like 2 hours long for no reason, and I feel like maybe they thought, well, it's not worth seeing if it's only an hour or something. I don't know what the deal was, but
I mean, there's usually like things or the hour 30 is usually like your goal. Sometimes hour 20 if you're like really into like editing, but I don't know. So, like, it's just this did not need to be this long.
no.
It didn't need to be.
I mean,
Yes.
no.
I blame whoever made the video game.
I don't know if
I'll fight Uwe over it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Kit and I said it in the other episode we did of his movie that we'll box him.
Yeah.
Or
I think
just
we can take him.
just invite us to your restaurant. I'm not going, but I'll take the invite.
I'll box him too. I did yoga today. I can probably beat him.
He's old now. He's older than he was whenever he kicked everyone's ass.
I was saying, I think it's hilarious that he was just beating critics up. They were just like, I could take him.
Legitimately rules.
I want to watch that documentary about all that.
I hope to one day have as much confidence in myself as he does.
I mean, he's made a pretty good career out of making terrible movies and then just becoming a restaurateur, so good for him. All right, was there any news?
New Aliens game.
Oh yeah,
New
I think that
Aliens
was the
game,
thing. I was like, there was something I was gonna bring up, but I think it was that.
And a New Aliens comic.
Well, I think I knew that was coming.
New Alien World.
Yeah, well, I was like reading a little bit about it, and it's like a completely new character, etc., etc., and then I kind of lost interest. But the art I'm sure is gonna be really cool. Like the cover looks awesome, but they added Devon Sawa to the Chucky TV series, so
hell yeah!
I love that for him.
I
love that he is
that was a thing.
back. I know.
Chucky.
I feel
Tall. He's long, Chucky.
he's tall. He's like life-size Chucky, like those life-size Barbie dolls. But it's like him, a grown man. Yeah, I love that. I feel like every time I bring up the Chucky TV series, you're like, oh, I forgot about that.
Well, no, like
it's been so long.
Well, it's all It also feels like it's been like a decade since we talked about that.
It has been at least a year, I feel. Then I don't know. The only other thing that I saw is that they are turning the 2018 Stephen King novella Elevation into a film. I actually really liked that. That was like one of his, well, I said 2018 and somehow it is now 2021, but I'm still going to refer to that as one of his newer works. That I actually like the time that it came out, which I think was after Sleeping Beauties, which was like the last big one or whatever. It was actually like his regular, well, it's a novella, but regular book of his that I enjoyed the most, like for a long time. So I don't really know, based on the premise of the novella, how they're going to do it in a movie or how it's going to turn out. But then I think also the person who directed Under the Dome is doing it, and that was trash. So I don't really know that I have much faith in that. But, oh well.
Yeah, they can't all be Maximum Overdrive.
I mean, none of them can at this point.
All right, did you guys watch anything good this week? I've been binging Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I watched Hard Boiled for the first time. That movie rules so fucking hard. Everything explodes all the time.
You watched something else that I was gonna bring up.
Birdcage, maybe?
No.
Also rules.
I don't remember now.
Robot Jocks.
Yes, Robot Jocks.
Pretty good.
I don't know. What about you, Katie?
I finally watched Doctor Sleep.
How was that?
It was fine. I didn't care for the book at all, so I sort of went into the movie like it took me this long to watch it because I just assumed I would hate it. It was like totally fine. It was pretty fine.
Oh, I remember what it was real quick. Kit, End of Days.
Oh, that movie's fucking stupid.
Wow.
It's so dumb. I love it.
It wasn't even like fun dumb outside of what's his name, Gabriel Byrne, like talking with a New York accent and having dyed his hair black.
I just like how
and Arnold throwing Satan out of his apartment window is pretty funny.
All right, go ahead, Katie.
And then I also, we finally finished BoJack Horseman. Yeah. We- I'm really sad. I haven't really like digested how I feel about the ending because it like I was reading about it and like in some ways it was canceled just because Netflix is trash and it like does that, but like they did have a heads up about it being canceled, so they sort of just like I guess did what they could to tie everything up, and I just like don't super know how I felt about it, but like I know it like every season is like pretty brutal, but this one was like pretty brutal.
I like the ending. I think they did a pretty good job of like putting all of the characters kind of where they should be.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I don't know. I'm not gonna get into it too much, but it is sort of like fitting.
Yeah.
Um, and then I also have been watching this show called Alice in Borderland, which is like a Japanese show where these people basically like I don't want to give away too much of the plot, but it's like this guy and his two friends basically like come out and like everything is just completely everyone's vanished and it's just like completely desolate, and then they find out that they have to like compete in these like puzzle type games, but like you can die in them. Obviously there's like the very first one they go into, there's like a room and it has two doors. One has a poster that says live and one has a poster that says die, and then they have to like figure out which one is correct because if they don't then they immediately get killed or whatever. And then like if you win you get like a visa basically to like last a couple days longer, but if you like if your visa expires and you don't play another game to like extend it or whatever, you immediately die. And it's like not very long, but it's like pretty interesting. Like the main character is basically just like like a typical like useless gamer guy, but that gives him an edge in this world or whatever. But I don't know. I love anything that's like post-apocalyptic Japanscape. It's just like so beautiful. So that one's been pretty good.
Yeah, I've just been binging Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and I only watched one movie, The Sadist of Notre Dame, which is like a Jess Franco movie I bought that was not great. It's for some reason he decided to act in his own movie, and it is surprisingly not a good actor.
Wow.
Oh no, I just saw somebody post about they're watching that Run Hide Fight movie for real. Um yeah, shout outs, Katie.
Mm, well, the only thing I've been doing else besides what I just was talking about is been playing Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, which is like a mobile game that I'm addicted to. And then I finally started that QAnon Anonymous podcast,
Oh, it's so good.
and it's so I was really careful to not say that I'm like getting really deep into QAnon because I'm not. I am not, but I've just been like listening to that essentially.
How do you like it so far?
It's pretty good. I was kind of confused because it when you start listening to it, it's like episode 1 and then it skips to episode 7.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's like information in between there that I don't know. Some of the episodes are a little too political for me, and that a lot of times like I don't. And the episodes came out a while ago, right? So I don't understand some of the things they're talking about because at the time it was like super topical. But as far as like the actual, because they had like an episode on Infowars, which was like I don't know, it's kind of separate but not really kind of thing. So I don't know. I like it though. The hosts are pretty funny.
Yeah.
Um,
My understanding was the first episode you listened to is essentially like a condensed version of the first 7 episodes.
gotcha.
So like I
Yeah,
think they went back and re-edited it and made, cuz I assume especially at the point they started making it where there wasn't like a whole lot of info or a whole lot of
right.
like stuff going on specifically, they were kind of like stretching out like what QAnon was. And I think they just condensed it and then just jumped into when like they could start doing more stuff.
That makes sense because the first episode is probably like pretty good.
Like primer.
Yeah, if you don't, because like I just started learning about them essentially. I know I'm like sort of late to it, but so I did kind of already know the basic stuff, but there was a lot of stuff on there that I didn't know like what it was, and so basically they explain like I don't know how I don't know. They're basically just like what's 4chan for people who don't understand what 4chan
Right.
is, and sort of like
It's basically all
but
of
I felt
like
like it was like a really
the lingo
the
that you kind of
jargon,
need to
yeah.
know to understand what they're talking about.
Because otherwise it's like very confusing. So yeah, it was probably the best like primer episode of a like informational podcast that I've heard. So I'm not like super far into it yet. Because it's kind of like for me, I have to pay attention a little bit more than like a ghost story or something like that. You know what I mean? So I'm going a little bit slower because there's certain things that I don't want to do while I'm listening to it just because I want to
Yeah.
pay attention. But super interesting, and yeah, the guys are pretty funny. So
Their
it's like it's not bogged down feeling
their
even
episode
when they have
I was gonna say their episode this week is a book review of Andy No's book. Ooh. Andy No. Very stupid.
yeah, so I'm not super far, but I know there's a long way to go.
Yeah, I think like the first maybe like 30 episodes are like not as good as it gets because it was like they started pretty early on, so like things aren't as insane as they get. Like the last year specifically has just been like just
Right.
bonkers with the amount of shit happening in that fucking sphere. So at some point you get to like the stories of like some dude who killed like a major mob boss because he thought he was like part of the deep state shit. It's wild.
Yeah, I have to say I don't enjoy uh because like when these started coming out, so they talk a lot about King Dumpster Fire, and I don't enjoy having his name in my ears again, but I get it's relevant, so we'll just slug through it.
Yeah, eventually you get to January 6th when just like all kinds of insane shit happens, so you have that to look forward to. With Jay Johnston. Jimmy Pesto just beat at the fucking Capitol, apparently.
Yeah.
My shout out. Wait, Kit, did you go?
No.
Kit, what wrestling you watching?
I've made it up to 2006. Rob Van Dam is champion. He just cashed in his Money in the Bank. Backlash or Vengeance or something. I don't know. Great Khali showed up and beat The Undertaker, and that was really weird.
Boo.
I do have
boo.
music to plug also on top of the Great Khali. Go watch Great Khali matches. He's the Punjabi playboy.
Oh.
There's a band that just released an album. They're called New Frontiers, and the album is Of Inner Dimensions. It's like really cool synthy ambient stuff. I've just been like listening to it while doing stretches for my stupid piece of shit back. It is delightful, relaxing.
Oh yeah. So let's see what's mine. I should have thought of this while you guys were talking. Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Get HBO Max. Watch Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I did start listening to a podcast called The Franco Observer, where this guy is watching all of the Jess Franco movies, which is also what I'm trying to do, but this dude's taking it seriously, and I don't know how he's doing it because there's so many.
Taking it seriously.
Like, I'm just, like, casually, like, my goal is eventually to see them all, but, like, I also, like, some of them are, like, incredibly hard to find, and this dude's, like, going as far as he can to watch all of them, and so far it's pretty good. So check all of that shit out. Go watch The Great Khali on a podcast. I don't know. Great Khali, come on, I hope you suffer.
That would fucking rule.
Next week, we're gonna watch Blood Rain. Unfortunately, I am going to watch all 3 of them.
Oh my gosh.
Because I hate myself.
Blood Rain 2, Blood Rainer.
Blood
Bloodier
Rain 3,
Rain.
Rainiest Blood.
Yeah.
If the Slayer's got to play in one of these movies, right?
I hope in the
Can they
second one
afford
they
Slayer?
replace Ben Kingsley with Carrie King.
They can't even try to like put makeup on him or anything. It's just Carrie King. It's just his fucking stupid ass tattoos and shit. All right. I guess don't watch Blood Rain because it's probably gonna be trash.
Watch In the Name of the King instead.
That movie's so stupid. There's
Watch Prince
nothing
of Persia.
I
instead.
enjoy more than the idea of Uwe Boll making like a period piece movie. If you would like to support us, you could join our Patreon at patreon.com/IHopeYouSufferPodcast. We just released an episode on dinosaur movies where we watched 2 and kind of tried to piece out what one of them was through a bad YouTube rip. You can buy merch and shit at storefrontier.com/IHopeYouSuffer. Leave us ratings and reviews. Tell us your favorite Uwe Boll movie. I already know it's gonna
Tell
be.
us your favorite Uwe Boll boxing match.
Yeah, and your favorite meal you've had at his restaurant. Leave us
What kind of food is it?
I don't know. I think it's like upscale dining shit, so it's apparently
Yikes.
supposed to be pretty good. I think that's just like what he's made his career now is just restauranteering, so that's from like the last like decade, so he's still doing it. He's doing something right.
You can direct an episode of Hell's Kitchen.
Oh my god, I would fucking kill to see Gordon Ramsay do like kitchen nightmares at Uwe Boll's restaurant.
Make it happen.
Follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery and see gross art updates, maybe wrestling recommendations. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face and see cute art updates. Katie's is a lot less gory looking.
Sometimes.
Not a lot of alpaca blobs in Katie's art.
No, I haven't done a blob yet. I need to get on that.
Yeah, just do color out of space alpaca blob, and we'll put yours and Kit's side by side.
Okay.
You
Duality.
could listen to.
I'll make it cute though.
It's
It'll
gonna
be like-
it's gonna be gross but kawaii at the same time.
Yeah, it'll be like a Hello Kitty alpaca blob.
They'll just be happy to be a gross blob.
That's right. They're just happy to be here together.
Listen to my other podcast, Nate Kate Movie Club, where we released an episode for an hour before I realized how badly fucked up it was and had to delete it.
Wait, what?
We did an episode that was supposed to be like the episode about like how we started talking and all this shit. It was like our anniversary movie. We did the Saved by the Bell Vegas movie because the first thing we watched together was the Saved by the Bell movies, like over the phone or whatever. And I forgot to mute one of the microphones, and so every time we were loud, it was like unlistenable because it was so echoey. And I listened to like the first half, and I was like, okay, this isn't terrible. Like I can. Like, you can still hear what we're saying. And I was like, we both were like, liked the episode. So we're like, we'll just like put it out. And then apparently after that point, it got like, just like so echoey you couldn't understand anything that was happening. So that episode was a loss. But instead we're going to do Casino next. So.
Hey.
Yeah, I listened to our Cell episode where I had the echo, and it was something.
It's so funny when you do the one. A Kit was like, that was genuinely cool because it sounded very spooky. Like you said something like spooky, and I had like.
I was like okay.
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, all that that shit. Watch Bloodborne.
Bloodborne. I'll watch Bloodborne for sure.
Yeah, Blood Rain, Bloodborne. I don't know. Watch a video game with blood in the title. I'm sure it's what we're doing.
Watch Bloodborne videos because it's definitely more worth your time than Blood Rain will be.
100%. You should watch the Vati videos on YouTube.
I feel like I don't know anything about Blood Rain. I don't know anything about the movie, but I feel like it's just gonna be like a Resident Evil ripoff, just based on the looks of it.
It was like an action game, like Legacy of Kain, where you're just a vampire lady murdering Nazis.
Pretty normal.
I mean, I just the look of like the poster art and all that shit for the movie. I'm just like, this looks like they were just like Resident Evil's doing well. We should do another one with like a female lead. So I'm expecting it to not be good, just like Resident Evil. All right. I hope Governor Abbott suffers, and I know why.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
That guy.
Kill him.